Every time you explain yourself, you lose authority. Every time you justify your choices, you hand over the power you work to build. In a world obsessed with validation, most people don't even realize they're begging for approval every time they open their mouth to defend themselves. You think you're clarifying, you think you're earning understanding, but in reality you're bleeding power, because power doesn't explain. Power acts, and the moment you start explaining, you reveal uncertainty, you reveal the need to be accepted, and that is the language of the powerless. Think about it. The people who truly command attention rarely speak much. They don't chase after being understood. They let others wonder. Because mystery creates gravity. It draws people in. The unreadable mind becomes the one everyone tries to decode, and that's how influence is born. When you stop explaining, you stop chasing approval. And when you stop chasing approval, people start chasing yours. Look around you. The man who speaks less, who moves with certainty, who doesn't justify his choices. He dominates the room without raising his voice. Meanwhile, the one who constantly explains, defends, and overclarifies becomes predictable. His emotions are visible. His logic is exposed. And when your logic is exposed, you give others the weapon to use it against you. Power is protection, and protection comes from silence. The Machiavellian truth is simple. Those who are unreadable are untouchable. When people can't read your intentions, they can't prepare against you. When they can't predict your next move, they have to respect you or fear you. Both outcomes serve your interest. Every word you speak either builds your mystery or destroys it. That's why the strongest individuals use words like a sword, not a stream. They speak with precision, not emotion. Silence isn't weakness, it's control. It's a mirror that forces others to project their thoughts, their fears, their interpretations onto you. They'll assume you're confident, strategic, dangerous. And you don't have to say a single word to make them think that. You just have to stop explaining yourself. The less you reveal, the more others imagine. The more they imagine, the more powerful you become in their minds. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to command attention, influence others, and protect your authority, not by talking more, but by talking less. You'll discover how to use silence as a weapon, how to project power without words, and how to turn your very presence into an advantage. These are the 12 laws of becoming the Enigma, Machiavelli's power code. We live in a world addicted to validation. Every action, every post, every message seems to scream the same thing. Please understand me. People overshare their thoughts, over-explain their decisions, and over-defend their identities, thinking it earns them respect. But it doesn't. It earns them exposure. Because the more you try to prove who you are, the more you reveal that you're unsure. Power doesn't seek understanding. It commands it. Weak men want to be understood. Powerful men want to be respected. This is the modern weakness, the constant need to justify. You explain why you didn't reply sooner. You clarify why you made a certain choice. You defend your beliefs to people who haven't earned the right to hear them. You send long texts trying to fix perceptions that shouldn't even matter. You argue online with strangers who have no influence over your life. And in doing so, you silently confess something deeper. I need you to see me a certain way. That's the trap. The moment you seek validation, you surrender control. You become emotionally reactive. Your peace depends on their approval. When you try to prove your worth, you're subconsciously admitting you doubt it. Every defense you make is a confession of insecurity. You think you're building trust, but you're only showing weakness. The people who seem mysterious, untouchable, intimidating, they don't explain. They let others wonder. They let silence do the talking. And here's the cost of ignoring this truth. Every unnecessary explanation chips away at your aura. Every justification you give makes you a little more predictable, a little less respected. People stop being curious about you because they already know too much. You've given them the map to your emotions, and once they have that, they can manipulate you. The man who overshares loses leverage before the game even starts. To restore power, you must rewire your behavior. From reactive to unreadable, you must train yourself to pause instead of defend, to act instead of explain, to let results speak instead of words. Because in silence you regain control, and in mystery you build authority. These are the 12 laws to become untouchable, the Machiavellian power code. Law 1. Say less than necessary. The less you say, the more they listen. It's a paradox of power. Those who speak the least are often the ones people remember most. Every word you release into the world either builds your authority or weakens it. The man who feels the need to explain, to justify, to fill every silence, reveals that he fears being misunderstood. The man who knows his worth has no such fear. His silence speaks louder than another man's entire speech. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He advised rulers never to reveal too much of their intentions. To govern effectively, one must appear open, yet remain unreadable. Mystery commands obedience because it creates uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds respect. People fear what they cannot predict. When you speak too much, you give away your strategy. When you speak just enough, you keep everyone guessing. Power doesn't exist in what's said. It lives in what's withheld. Think about the most influential figures in history, leaders, generals, visionaries. They never drowned others in words. They used pauses, stares, gestures, and minimal speech to dominate the room. When they spoke, their words cut like a blade. Every sentence carried intention. Every silence carried weight. The same principle applies in modern life. In business, relationships, or negotiations, the one who talks the most always loses control first. Because words are currency, and most people spend them carelessly, you must learn to weaponize your silence. When others seek to provoke, stay calm. When they demand explanations, stay vague. When they gossip or speculate, let them. The longer they try to read you, the more energy they give you. Use silence to create tension. Use brevity to project dominance. Your calm restraint will make them question themselves, while your minimal words will seem deliberate and intelligent. Here's your rule of practice. Speak only to direct, never to defend. Speak to give instruction, not to seek validation. Never explain your motives to those who doubt you. Let your results do that for you. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you gain ground. Every time you pause instead of overtalk, you strengthen your position. Remember this principle. Every word you speak can and will be used against your power. Guard your speech like a secret weapon. Let silence become your shield. The moment you master restraint, you become unreadable, and in that unreadability lies absolute control. Law 2. Never explain, let results. Speak words, convince few. Results silence all. The weak try to persuade with explanations. The powerful let proof do the talking. Every time you justify your actions, you lower yourself to the level of those who question you. You turn your focus away from execution and into persuasion. And persuasion is a poor substitute for results. Power is not built through convincing. It's built through evidence. The world listens to what you produce, not what you promise. Machiavelli would tell a ruler, explanations are for the powerless, because the moment you start explaining, you expose uncertainty. Those who lead, those who command, act with purpose and move forward without waiting for understanding. They let others catch up later. History remembers the men who did, not the ones who tried to make others believe in what they might do. Look at Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled one of the greatest empires in history. He didn't justify his orders or debate his principles. He lived by them. His power came from calm execution, not emotional persuasion. When he faced chaos, he didn't write speeches to prove his rightness. He simply demonstrated control through action. That's what real authority looks like. No explanations, just results that speak for themselves. In today's world, this principle applies everywhere. At work, you don't gain respect by explaining your ambition, you gain it by outperforming. In relationships, you don't earn trust by defending your character, you earn it by consistency. In competition, you don't win by talking about your goals, you win by producing outcomes that make others go silent. When your results are undeniable, words become unnecessary. Train yourself to act, not argue. When someone doubts you, let them. When they challenge you, smile and execute. When they gossip, outwork them. Every hour you spend explaining could have been spent creating something that proves your point without saying a word. Discipline yourself to be outcome-oriented. Let your focus be your argument, your results your response. The man who masters quiet execution becomes unstoppable because he doesn't waste energy convincing anyone. Remember this, explanations are currency of the powerless. The more you use them, the poorer you become in authority. Stop explaining. Start demonstrating. Build a track record so undeniable that no one dares question you again. The day you let your results speak louder than your words is the day your power becomes permanent. Law 3. Master the art of strategic silence. Silence is not weakness, it's psychological control. In a world where everyone rushes to speak, the one who stays silent becomes the one who's truly listened to. Most people talk to escape discomfort. They fill the air with words because silence exposes their insecurity. But power thrives in that stillness. The ability to hold silence, especially when others expect you to speak, creates tension, and tension is control. Silence unsettles. It makes people reveal more than they intend. It flips the balance of power in your favor without you saying a single word. Interrogators know this better than anyone. The most dangerous suspects aren't the ones who shout or protest. They're the ones who stay calm and quiet. Because silence forces the interrogator to break first. The absence of reaction becomes unbearable. The human mind hates a void. It rushes to fill it with assumptions, explanations, and emotion. That's why silence is the most powerful psychological weapon you possess. It makes others do the talking while you do the thinking. Machiavellian strategy demands that you master this art. Use silence to observe patterns, study intentions, and let others reveal themselves. When someone tries to provoke you, don't react. When they demand answers, pause. When they expect emotional responses, give them stillness instead. You'll see how quickly silence transforms confusion into your weapon. It makes people question themselves, doubt their approach, and scramble to regain footing. You're no longer playing defense, you've taken control of the entire dynamic. In social settings, silence builds intrigue. In negotiations, it creates pressure. In conflict, it commands fear. The one who speaks less always holds psychological dominance because silence projects emotional control. People begin to overanalyze your quiet. They assume depth, wisdom, or hidden power. And in many ways, they're right, because only those who are internally strong can resist the urge to react. Here's your practice. Before responding, wait 3 seconds longer than usual. Let the silence breathe. Let others reveal their impatience. Then, when you finally speak, your words will carry weight because they're rare and deliberate. Strategic silence doesn't mean passivity. It means mastery over impulse. It means knowing that noise achieves nothing, but silence achieves control. Remember this truth. Silence turns confusion into your weapon. The next time you feel the urge to react, don't. Let the quiet hang. Watch how it bends the room in your favor. Power isn't in speaking, it's in making others speak first. Law 4. Control information. Never be fully known. Transparency kills influence. The more people know about you, the easier it is for them to predict your moves, manipulate your decisions, and undermine your authority. Every detail you reveal is a piece of power you surrender. The strongest individuals understand that influence isn't built by being liked or fully understood. It's built by being unreadable. People respect what they cannot predict. They fear what they cannot fully grasp. And fear, when paired with curiosity, becomes the fuel of control. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He wrote that rulers who are unpredictable retain power because their subjects never know what to expect. When people cannot decipher your strategy, they are forced to assume competence, intelligence, and authority. A leader who reveals everything is a leader who invites challenge. A leader who conceals enough becomes untouchable. Your unpredictability becomes your most potent weapon because it forces others to fill the gaps with respect or fear. This principle applies in every arena of modern life. At work, oversharing your plans exposes you to competition. In relationships, revealing all your intentions gives others the ability to manipulate your emotions. In negotiation, full disclosure surrenders leverage before the deal even begins. Every time you explain your motives, you weaken your position. Every time you remain measured, selective, and enigmatic, you gain it. Influence is sustained by what is hidden, not what is revealed. The application is simple but requires discipline. Reveal selectively. Speak only when necessary. Share details only when they serve your purpose, never when they satisfy curiosity. Let your intentions remain partially obscured. Let others wonder. Let them guess. The more they speculate, the more your influence grows. When someone asks a probing question, give a measured response or none at all. The silence, the ambiguity, the subtle avoidance, these are the tools of psychological dominance. Remember this insight. Mystery is the oxygen of power. The less people can read you, the more energy they expend trying to understand you, and that energy strengthens your position. By controlling information, you don't just preserve authority, you expand it. Keep your thoughts, plans, and motives partially concealed. Let your actions carry weight, and let the unknown amplify your presence. The man who is never fully known is never fully challenged. In mystery lies mastery. Law 5. Let others speak first. Always observe before revealing. Power flows to the listener, not the talker. In every interaction, the one who talks first gives away information, intentions, weaknesses, and strategy. The one who listens gains insight, control, and leverage. Most people are eager to fill the silence, to assert themselves, to dominate the conversation. But the truly powerful know that real influence begins with restraint. The person who speaks last always holds the advantage because they have the clearest understanding of the terrain before making their move. History is full of examples. Leaders on the battlefield, CEOs in boardrooms, diplomats in tense negotiations, they listen before they act. They observe the arguments, the hesitation, the over-explanations. Then they strike with precision. By waiting, they allow others to reveal their intentions and weaknesses first. Speaking too early is a gamble. Listening first turns uncertainty into opportunity. Silence is a tool, and observation is the weapon that transforms silence into dominance. In practical terms, this law applies everywhere. In meetings, let colleagues lay out their points first. Notice inconsistencies, gaps, and emotional reactions. In arguments, let the other party talk until they exhaust themselves or reveal their vulnerabilities. In social situations, watch body language, listen to tone, and study reactions before you respond. Every word you withhold is a piece of leverage. Every observation you make is a strategic gain. The longer you listen, the more control you accumulate. This is not passivity, it's precision. When others finish speaking, your response carries authority because it's informed. It's calculated. It demonstrates insight without the need for over-explanation. The moment you speak, you set the tone, command the attention, and dictate the outcome. And because you waited, your words hold greater weight. They are deliberate, decisive, and unavoidable. Here's your practice. In every conversation, adopt the mindset of the observer. Let silence stretch uncomfortably long. Let the other person fill it with their intentions and doubts. Only then respond. The power you gain from this simple discipline will be visible. People will begin to reveal themselves before you even speak, and your words will carry a gravity that commands respect. Remember this rule: observation is the first act of dominance. Speak last, listen first. Turn every conversation into a map of opportunity where the terrain is defined by others and the strategy is yours alone. In mastery of observation lies absolute control. Law 6. Don't argue. Redirect. Arguing is the refuge of the emotionally entangled. The moment you engage in a debate with someone determined to challenge you, you surrender control. You let their agitation dictate your energy, their narrative dominate the conversation, and their agenda shape your response. Power is never proven in the back and forth of emotional wrestling. True control comes from redirecting the interaction, steering it toward observation, reflection, and calculated influence. When you stop arguing, you stop reacting. And when you stop reacting, you regain dominance. Politicians, negotiators, and master influencers understand this principle. They rarely respond to accusations or challenges with defense. Instead, they ask questions, shift the focus, or subtly redirect attention. By doing so, they force the other person to engage with themselves, exposing their inconsistencies and emotional vulnerabilities. You do not need to justify your position. Your composure is justification enough. Silence and strategic redirection demonstrate authority far more convincingly than heated explanations ever could. The application is simple, but requires discipline. When someone attacks, interrupts, or criticizes, resist the urge to argue. Pause, observe, then respond with a calm question or an alternative perspective that reframes the situation. Ask, what do you mean by that? Or how do you see this working? By redirecting, you control the flow of the conversation, subtly guiding others toward your preferred outcome without ever appearing combative. Every argument avoided is power preserved. Every redirection executed is authority reinforced. Remember, engaging in debate on someone else's terms always weakens your position. The more you explain, defend, or justify, the more energy you invest in their agenda instead of your own. Like Machiavelli's leaders, who mastered persuasion through subtlety rather than confrontation, you must wield influence without ever seeming desperate to prove a point. Emotional detachment is your weapon. Calm redirection is your strategy. Follow this principle: never wrestle with pigs. They drag you into mud and call it victory. When someone attempts to pull you into conflict, don't fall. Stand above, observe, redirect, and let your composure speak louder than any argument. Those who insist on chaos will exhaust themselves, and by staying untouched, you emerge stronger, calmer, and in full control. Redirect to dominate, silence to empower, control to conquer. Law 7. Leave people guessing. Predictability is a weakness. The moment people can anticipate your moves, your strategy, or your reactions, they gain power over you. Those who are always consistent, always explainable, always readable, may feel secure, but in reality they are vulnerable. True authority comes from uncertainty. When others cannot predict your behavior, they spend energy trying to decode you. That energy wasted on speculation reinforces your dominance. The more unpredictable you are, the more respect and fear you command. Chess masters understand this principle better than anyone. A skilled player doesn't reveal their plan in advance. They mix signals, delay moves, and occasionally shift tactics. The opponent is left guessing, analyzing every gesture, every pattern, every feint. The uncertainty itself becomes a weapon. People start to fear mistakes, hesitation, and miscalculation, while the master silently controls the pace and outcome of the game. This is precisely how influence works off the board as well. Predictability in social interactions, business, or negotiation is an open invitation for manipulation. The application is deliberate. Delay responses when people expect instant reactions. Mix your behavioral patterns to avoid predictability. Change tone, approach, or timing strategically. When someone anticipates your next move, subtly shift it. The effect is profound. People begin to second-guess their own actions around you. They hesitate, they analyze, and in that hesitation lies your control. Each calculated delay, each minor alteration, strengthens your perceived power without you ever announcing it. In everyday life, leaving people guessing elevates your influence. At work, don't always respond to emails immediately. In conversations, pause strategically before answering difficult questions. In negotiations, reveal only what is necessary. Let the other party fill in the blanks. Your unreadable nature forces them to attribute depth, intelligence, and authority to you, qualities that may or may not be fully true, but which reinforce your dominance. Remember this insight. Uncertainty is fear disguised as respect. People respect what they cannot predict because fear lies in the unknown. When you maintain an element of mystery, you are no longer just a participant. You are a force that others must account for. Master the art of leaving people guessing. Let them wonder. Let them analyze. Let them try to decode you. The less they understand, the more control you hold, and the more power you command. Law 8. Control emotional leakage. Emotion reveals inner truth, and in power dynamics, revealing too much is dangerous. Every flicker of frustration, excitement, or insecurity is a signal to others. It exposes your priorities, your fears, and your weaknesses. The moment someone can read your emotions, they gain leverage over you. To be untouchable, you must master the art of emotional containment. Control your reactions and you become unreadable. The less they know about your inner state, the more they project onto you, and the more power you hold. Machiavellian leaders understood this instinctively. They mastered Stoicism not as philosophy but as strategy. They maintained composure in moments of crisis. Neutral expression, masking intention, calm voice disguising strategy. When under pressure, they became an enigma, opaque, inscrutable, untouchable. Their opponents were forced to guess their next move, constantly second-guessing themselves, while the leader remained unaffected. Emotional control isn't suppression, it's deliberate mastery, a tool to protect authority. Application in modern life is straightforward but requires discipline. Train your facial expressions to remain neutral in heated moments. Speak with a composed tone even when provoked. Slow your breathing to regulate physiological reactions to stress. Before responding to criticism or confrontation, pause and internalize control. Every reaction you withhold strengthens your presence. Every calm response amplifies the perception of dominance. Even small actions, a steady gaze, an unshaken voice, a measured nod, communicate far more than frantic words or defensive gestures ever could. Every unnecessary display of emotion is a crack through which your power leaks. Anger, anxiety, desperation, they're all signals others exploit. Your ability to stay emotionally opaque gives you leverage in every interaction. The person who loses composure is reactive, predictable, and ultimately powerless. The one who stays centered, calm, and measured manipulates the energy around them, drawing influence effortlessly. Control your inner world, and you control the outer battlefield. Remember this: emotion is the crack through which power leaks. Master it, and you close the gaps. Silence your reactions, steady your presence, and cultivate composure under every circumstance. Those who can observe without revealing, respond without overreacting, and maintain emotional neutrality will dominate every interaction. Emotional mastery transforms you from readable to untouchable, from ordinary to formidable. Your power is not in what you feel, it is in what you hide. Law 9. Never overshare your vision. Your goals lose power the moment they are exposed to weak minds. Ambition, when revealed prematurely, becomes a target for criticism, sabotage, or misunderstanding. Most people think sharing their plans builds support, but it often does the opposite. It gives others the opportunity to diminish your momentum before it begins. Influence and authority grow from action, not words. Those who overshare dilute their power because they invite interference, doubt, and distraction into what should remain a controlled, strategic process. Consider the examples of history and modern innovation. Elon Musk rarely discloses his full technological roadmap. Steve Jobs shared a vision compelling enough to inspire employees and the public, yet carefully curated so that competitors couldn't replicate it. Ancient military strategists revealed only the essentials, keeping their tactics concealed until execution was underway. The principle is clear: control what others know, and you control how they perceive you. Oversharing is a vulnerability. Selective revelation is mastery. The application is simple but demands discipline. Share your vision only when execution is already in motion. Let progress speak louder than ambition. When people see results, they will support and follow your plans because they are undeniable. By controlling the timing and scope of disclosure, you protect your work from distraction, envy, and sabotage. This is not deception, it is strategic safeguarding. The fewer people know, the less risk exists that your energy will be drained by opinion, doubt, or interference. In practical terms, avoid discussing detailed plans on social media, in casual conversations, or with those who have little influence over your outcomes. Frame your objectives broadly, enough to inspire, but never enough to expose weaknesses or invite replication. Use incremental revelation. Release updates only as milestones are achieved. Let curiosity and speculation elevate your presence, keeping others engaged while you retain full control over momentum. Remember this teaching: secrecy protects momentum. The ambitious who overshare waste energy defending visions before they are realized. The strategy leaves their work intact, revealing only when action can back the words. Your vision is a weapon, treat it as such. Protect it. Execute it. Reveal it selectively. Power flows to those who move first and speak last. When you master discretion, your ideas gain force, and your influence becomes unstoppable. Law 10. Build psychological distance. Familiarity breeds contempt. Distance breeds awe. The more accessible you are, the more ordinary you appear. People begin to take you for granted, underestimate your influence, and challenge your authority. Power is amplified by scarcity. When you are seen too often, your presence loses weight. When you are rare but memorable, your influence multiplies. Strategic absence creates psychological leverage. It forces others to value anticipate and respect every interaction with you. History is full of examples. Monarchs maintained strict court protocols to limit access, appearing only at key moments. CEOs often schedule rare, high-impact meetings instead of constant availability, letting their presence signify authority rather than familiarity. The result is the same across contexts. Scarcity elevates perception. People respect what they cannot always have. They pay attention when you appear because every encounter carries meaning. Overexposure, by contrast, erodes power and diminishes influence. Application in modern life requires discipline. Limit access. Don't respond immediately to every message, email, or invitation. Be selective about appearances in social or professional settings. When you do appear, make it count. Arrive with intention, communicate with authority, and leave an impression that lingers. Your interactions should feel rare and valuable. People should walk away thinking, he is different. He is calculated. He commands attention. This is the psychology of distance. The less available you are, the more your presence matters. Psychological distance is not isolation. It's strategic positioning. It signals control, focus, and self-respect. Overfamiliarity signals neediness, weakness, and desperation. The powerful cultivate an aura of inaccessibility while remaining approachable on their terms. They allow others to chase attention, not the other way around. Every deliberate absence reinforces the perception of competence and authority, making your eventual presence even more impactful. Remember this principle: scarcity makes your presence valuable. Every encounter, every word, every appearance should be intentional. By controlling proximity, you control perception. By limiting availability, you create desire, anticipation, and respect. Master psychological distance, and you transform from ordinary to extraordinary. Those who understand your patterns cannot predict you, cannot manipulate you, and cannot diminish your influence. Power resides in the space between your appearances. Use it wisely, and your presence becomes unstoppable. No. 11. Be unpredictably kind, never constantly available. Controlled kindness shocks and binds people. Constant kindness destroys mystery. When you are always generous, always available, and always agreeable, your presence becomes ordinary. People take you for granted. They expect your attention, your approval, your support, and when expectations go unmet, your influence diminishes. The powerful understand that unpredictability amplifies loyalty. A single, well-timed act of generosity can have more impact than endless concessions or constant availability. By being strategically kind, you create tension that reinforces authority. Throughout history, leaders have leveraged this principle to maintain loyalty and control. Monarchs rewarded their subjects at moments of surprise, not routine. Business leaders give high performers unexpected recognition, creating awe and appreciation. The common denominator is the same. Unpredictability creates engagement. People remember what they cannot anticipate. When kindness is scarce, it carries weight. When it is constant, it becomes noise. Strategic benevolence cultivates respect, anticipation, and subtle dependence. Application in modern life is straightforward, but discipline is required. Reward selectively, compliment, support, or assist in ways that surprise people rather than following predictable patterns. Be present, but not always. Leave others wondering why you're attentive, why you offered help, or why your approval is granted. This uncertainty keeps people alert, invested, and engaged. Your power grows not from the magnitude of your kindness, but from its timing, rarity, and intentionality. Even in personal relationships or teams, unpredictably kind behavior builds subtle authority. People notice when you break patterns, when you step outside expectation, when your actions are guided by intent rather than habit. That shock, that curiosity, that subtle tension binds them to you psychologically. They anticipate, analyze, and respect you more because they never feel entirely sure what to expect. Remember this quote: kindness is most powerful when it's uncertain. Stop being constantly available. Stop following the predictable script of generosity. Master controlled benevolence and you amplify influence without giving away authority. Be selective, be rare, be deliberate. Your unpredictability and kindness makes others depend on your presence, your approval, and your attention. In that balance of scarcity and generosity lies both respect and power, unshakable, undeniable, and utterly commanding. Law 12. Become the mirror, reveal nothing. Reflect everything. People project their desires, fears, and expectations onto the silent. When you reveal nothing, others fill the void with their own assumptions. And those assumptions almost always work in your favor. The unreadable person becomes a canvas for projection, a vessel into which others pour their admiration, respect, and even fear. Power is not in being understood, it is in being interpreted. The more others try to decipher you, the more control you hold. Silence, when paired with observation, transforms you into the ultimate authority figure. Machiavelli noted that men who are unreadable wield disproportionate influence. The mysterious leader, the stoic strategist, the quiet observer. These are the ones who bend others to their will without ever appearing forceful. Because people cannot see the inner workings of their mind, they imagine the best, the worst, or something far more formidable. By revealing nothing, you leave others guessing. By reflecting emotion without participating, you manipulate the psychological environment to your advantage. You create respect without effort, dominance without declaration. Application is subtle but decisive. Listen more than you speak. Mirror the tone, pace, and emotion of those around you without revealing your own intentions. When others express excitement, doubt, or frustration, reflect it, but never confirm or deny your internal state. Let them think you agree, disagree, or empathize, whatever serves your purpose, while keeping your inner truth concealed. Your words, gestures, and presence should be deliberate, measured, and intentionally ambiguous. Every interaction becomes a stage where you dictate the narrative without ever stepping into the spotlight. In negotiations, relationships, or leadership, the mirror strategy disarms opponents and allies alike. People project their goals and insecurities onto you. They reveal their vulnerabilities. They commit emotionally to your perceived alignment. Meanwhile, your authority grows silently, invisibly, untouchably. Every moment you reflect rather than reveal strengthens your aura of mystery and control. The silent observer always holds the final advantage. Remember this principle. When they can't read you, they respect you. Reveal nothing. Reflect everything. Make people see themselves in you while keeping your intentions invisible. Authority does not demand explanation. Power does not require transparency. The more unreadable you are, the more influence you wield. The world interprets what you show, but never truly knows who you are, and in that ambiguity lies absolute control. You started this journey seeking validation, explaining yourself, justifying choices, oversharing thoughts, and hoping the world would approve. You lived in a cycle of reactive behavior, always trying to convince, always trying to be understood. That path leads only to fatigue, exposure, and the slow erosion of authority. But now you have the blueprint to transform, moving from the weak habit of over-explaining to the commanding discipline of silent dominance. Every law you've learned in this series points to a single truth. Mystery is magnetic. Predictability is repulsive. The less people can read you, the more power you hold. The less you justify, the more they speculate, and speculation always elevates the unknown to the extraordinary. From saying less than necessary to letting results speak, from mastering strategic silence to building psychological distance, each principle reinforces one outcome. You become unreadable. You stop giving others the map to your intentions and start controlling the narrative without a word. This is not theoretical. It is actionable. From this moment, stop explaining, stop defending, stop reacting, start observing. Let silence be your strategy. Watch people reveal themselves while you remain opaque. Let them exhaust themselves trying to predict your next move while you maintain clarity and calm. Speak only when your words serve purpose, not when your ego seeks validation. Respond to conflict with redirection rather than argument. Reveal just enough to inspire, but never enough to be exploited. Each measured action, each controlled silence, each strategic pause compounds into authority that is impossible to ignore. Remember this: those who speak less are feared more. Silence is the language of control. When you remain unreadable, others bend their energy to you. They overthink, overanalyze, and ultimately obey the rhythm you set. You no longer compete in a world of explanation. You dominate in a world of presence. Every interaction becomes a tool, every observation an asset, every pause a power move. The man who masters the art of being unknowable commands influence effortlessly, because people are drawn not to the loud, but to the deliberate, the calculated, the mysterious. Now it's your turn to step into that power. Commit to restraint. Commit to observation. Commit to the discipline of mystery. Stop leaking your intentions, stop oversharing, and stop seeking approval. The 12 laws you've learned are your arsenal. They will shape your influence, your relationships, and your success. If you're ready to become the Enigma, leave "I am unreadable" in the comments. Like this video if you're prepared to stop explaining and start commanding. Your silence is not weakness, it is mastery. And remember, the world respects what it cannot predict, fears what it cannot read, and follows those who remain untouchable.